Continuing on here with some more contract discussions, this time in the AFC and talking about the reigning Super Bowl champions in the Kansas City Chiefs. It isn't all, as easy as they make it look, honestly. They do have to go over some of the contract extensions and still have to make sure they retain some of their best remaining players on their team. And some of the biggest players, honestly, aren't the sexiest players to talk about. You don't always talk about it, Brandon Ayuk, in terms of receiver, quarterbacks like the Dallas Cowboys have to do with Dak. The Kansas City Chiefs have to focus on more of their offensive line and their starting linebackers, specifically their center, Creed Humphrey, their right guard, Trey Smith, and their linebacker, Nick Bolton. All of them, oddly enough, drafted in 2021. And what's even weirder is that none of them were first-round picks. And talking about the level that each of these guys bring to their specific position, it's pretty insane how they drafted all of these guys. Trey Smith was a sixth-round pick, Creed Humphrey in the second round, and I think Nick Bolton also was in the second or third round. And now, to build this entire Super Bowl winning team, this dynasty that they have with these guys that weren't even first-round picks, you feel like you hit the lottery with each of these guys, all in the same draft class as well. You would, of course, want to retain all of them in the near future, and that's what the Kansas City Chiefs are trying to do with three of their most important starters now. None of them obviously have fifth-year options because, again, none of them were first-round picks. So they're going to, after being drafted in 2021, 2024 is the last year on the rookie contracts for all of these guys. So how do they find it within the salary cap? Where do they find the room to extend these guys? And what could these contracts potentially look for or look to in terms of each guy and how the market shapes out for centers, right guards, and linebackers? But ideally, the Kansas City Chiefs will try to keep these guys before week one. They'll try to negotiate new contracts before the start of the regular season. At least that's what their general manager, Brett Veach, said recently in being asked about how they are in progression with each of their contracts. He said that ideally he'd like to get more than one done during this period of training camp, and they already extended one of their main guys, Harrison Butker, their kicker, making him the highest paid kicker in NFL history. So they already got through with him, a very good player at his position, a very good kicker, a weapon, honestly, for them to keep. That was a no-brainer, but now you still have three of the most important positions to get to, and General Manager Brett Veach wants to get these guys done. He said that it is in his best interest to do it and that he feels that each of them will want to stay with the Chiefs, obviously, long-term. He doesn't feel any, deferring options on the feelings. He feels like the feelings are mutual to try and keep these guys with the team going forward. And now you look at each of them and what each of these guys bring to the Chiefs and just overall. You look at Creed Humphrey, has quietly, almost established himself as the best center, if not one of the best centers in the National Football League. Obviously, with how important that relationship is with Patrick Mahomes, that center to quarterback relationship, you want to keep that going. Obviously, a lot of people don't think about it too much just because it's the center, right? How much can he really impact the game? But if you ask Patrick Mahomes, I bet he would hold Creed Humphrey right up there with one of the most important pieces to the entire team. So it's going to be vital to keep Creed Humphrey, obviously. Also, Trey Smith, like I said, drafting him in the sixth round, and now him easily exceeding any expectations that anybody had for him as that sixth round pick, to be as good as he is at his position, but also as reliable as he has been. He's only missed one game for the Kansas City Chiefs in this entire run that he's been with them, so that's fantastic to have for your offensive lineman to always be there. He's exceeded his value, like I said. To find this diamond in the rough at right guard is great for the Chiefs, so that's another reason to want to keep Trey Smith. And then you look at Nick Bolton, same thing, a leader now on the defensive side of the ball. After the Chiefs ended up losing their past linebacker, Willie Gay, he signed with the New Orleans Saints this offseason. They felt that they were able to survive without Willie Gay because Willie Gay was a good player for them, but they felt comfortable having him move on because not only did they still have Nick Bolton, but also the breakthrough season that Drew Tranquil had. You saw how they extended him. That partnership now is something that you want to keep going into the near future, into the next for a couple of years, 3-4 years, however long the extension is. That's ideally what you want to happen, and you don't want to have to be in a position where you could lose Nick Bolton in free agency next year potentially, and just be beaten out by the highest bidder, because I think we've seen just this offseason too how these linebackers get signed pretty quickly. You saw Drew Tranquil get re-signed by the Chiefs, and also Patrick Queen is another one signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers to a pretty lucrative deal. The linebackers, especially at the age where they're 26 to like 29 years old, they go pretty fast because those are the years where obviously they are reaching the prime, the peak of their career. So they don't stay on the market too long, and the Chiefs don't want to run the risk of losing yet another linebacker, especially with how much Nick Bolton, means to this team on that side of the ball. So what kind of contracts are we kind of looking towards for these guys? Well, starting off with Trey Smith, like I mentioned, probably the most reliable guy, the healthiest guy out of all of these positions. He is set to make around $900,000 this year in terms of salary, based on the rookie contract that he had. On the per year basis, he's set to make around $900,000, and the top earning right guards make close to $20.5 million per year. So the guard market is a lot bigger and a lot more rich than the center market. Obviously, with Chris Lindstrom making about the max, he's the highest earning guard at $20.5 million. And then you have somebody like Wyatt Teller, who is a very good right guard at his position and a very good player overall. He's making around $14 million as a guard as well. So I think Trey Smith, for how much he's proven to be a reliable asset, how much he's brought to this offensive line where they don't have to worry about the interior of that offensive line pretty much throughout the entire time that he's been there alongside Creed Humphrey. I'm not saying he could reset the market like Chris Lindstrom or something like that, but I think falling anywhere between that range, like I said, of 20.5 or 14 million, I think is what Trey Smith will be vying for, and it seems like something that the Chiefs could, afford up until this point. They don't have too many high earning guys that are the highest earners at their respective markets. Just off of the top of my head, I don't think they have anybody that they are really having at the top of the market. I can't think of anybody. It's certainly not Patrick. They don't have any receivers earning that much. The running backs, definitely not. I guess Travis Kelce would be the only one. I'd have to check it, though. It'd probably be close in terms of the highest earning tight ends. But if it is Travis Kelce, they only have one guy making the market price at their position. They could certainly afford this, especially if Trey Smith might not fall into the range of trying to be the highest earning right guard at his position. And it's similar and a little bit more beneficial for Creed Humphrey, because he is set to make $1.3 million this year, and the highest earner at his position is Frank Ragnow, and he's only making $13.5 million per year as a salary. So the center market is a little bit more team friendly. I feel like Creed Humphrey, like I said before, has established himself as one of the best centers in the NFL, if not the best already. So I think he's made a good case for himself to at least bring it to the table to Brett Veach and talk about being the highest earning center in the NFL, especially with $13.5 million being the limit. I think Creed could definitely exceed that and maybe earn around $14 or $15 million as a center on a 4-year deal is probably my most accurate guess of what he could get. And then just lastly, talking about Nick Bolton, he is similarly set to make around $1.4 million this year. And the linebackers, like I said, are getting paid pretty lucratively, because you look at the top earner, Roquan Smith, he's at about $20 million per year. And I think it's him followed up by Tremaine Edmonds for the Chicago Bears. And there might be another name thrown in there as well as some of the highest earners. But then you have guys like Azeez Al-Shaair, Patrick Queen, and Mike Milano earning around $11 to $14 million per year. I think that would probably be the range that I see Nick Bolton falling into. The other guy is Fred Warner. They're all making around $18 to $20 million. Fred Warner, Tremaine Edmonds, and Roquan Smith are all the top 3 highest paid linebackers. I don't think Nick Bolton is in that range personally, but I think if you're getting paid like an Aziz Al-Shair, Patrick Queen, and Mike Milano, around 14 to maybe $16 million per year in terms of salary for Nick Bolton, I think would be a fair asking price for the Kansas City Chiefs to sign him, just based on the value that he brings to them. You know, a very good linebacker, but I don't think he meets the impact level of a Fred Warner, right? A Tremaine Edmonds or a Roquan Smith. Those guys have certainly created the line in the sand, right, to establish themselves as the 3 best. And then everybody else below them, I think, kind of falls in line based on how you evaluate linebackers, your preference overall. I think that's where Nick Bolton could, strive to earn. And the Chiefs, I think would be more than willing to give him a contract around that. But, it's not these market-setting crazy prices, other than maybe Creed Humphrey. They don't have these high-earning positions, and that's probably what makes the Chiefs one of the most just reliable and just well-run organizations, because they find these guys at such low value in the draft, prices, that once it is time to pay them, they are solid. But again, none of them really are these extraordinary players at their positions. They just do the best that they can at their set role, and that's how they keep this well-oiled machine going throughout the entire dynasty that they've built out so far. And that's something I think more teams need to do. But the fact that they could keep all these guys, I'm pretty confident that they'll do it. But other than the fact that maybe they get priced out if they take too long with any of these guys, could be my only worry. But it seems like all these guys want to stay. Why would you even want to leave, honestly, the Kansas City Chiefs? But those are the 3 main guys that they still have to figure out. General Manager Brett Veach is working tirelessly to do it. I'm pretty confident that they'll do it. But who knows? If they take too long, one of these guys will certainly be a high asking price, a high sought-out guy in the free agent market. But that'll be that. That's pretty much all the updates we have on their contract extensions up until now, which means we have to move on to the next topic on the Denver Broncos, talking about their depth chart that came out and some of the questions I have, because it was a little bit contradicting to what has been reported up until this point. And also later on, just to close out the show, talking about the New England Patriots and their quarterback plan starting the preseason this weekend. So we have some more to talk about after this break. Don't go anywhere.